During the Battle of Shiloh, the Union Army was able to snatch victory away from the jaws of defeat and reverse the Confederate Army in the bloodiest battle in American history up to that time. After the Battle of Fort Donelson in February 1862, the Confederate Army was forced to fall back through Tennessee into northern Mississippi. There, General Albert Sydney Johnston begins to concentrate his command, all Confederate forces in the West, on Corinth, Mississippi. Meanwhile, Ulysses S. Grant, in command of the Union Army of the Tennessee, is stationed at Pittsburgh Landing on the Tennessee River, 24 miles north of Corinth. He is waiting there for the Army of the Ohio, commanded by General Don Carlos Buell. General Henry Halleck, who is the Union commander of the West, plans to march on Corinth with superior numbers once Grant and Buell unite. However, Johnston is not about to wait for the Union Army to attack him. With the help of General Beauregard, he plans to attack Grant at Pittsburgh Landing on April 5th. However, confusion and very muddy roads causes the Confederate Army to arrive at its launch-off point in the late afternoon of the 5th, a whole day behind schedule. Furthermore, the Confederate troops are anything but quiet. Practicing their rebel yells and shooting at stray animals, it seems the element of surprise is completely gone. Despite the setbacks, and with many of his generals believing that the enemy is by now heavily entrenched, Johnston is determined to attack the Union camp. As he said, "I would attack them if they were a million." The attack is set for sunrise April 6th. On the Union side, the noise hasn't gone unnoticed, but in many cases it is ignored. General William Tecumseh Sherman, who commands one of the Union divisions, repeatedly ignores reports of Confederate troops in the area. One Union who did take heed to these warnings was Colonel Everett Peabody, who commanded a brigade under General Prentiss. In response, Peabody sends several companies of his brigade forward to scout. As they advance around 5:30 a.m. on April 6th, they run straight into the advancing Confederate Army. After attempting to put up a fight, the inexperienced Union troops panic and run back towards their camps.
Fire!
When they reach their camps, they attempt to yet again stop the Confederate tide. However, the Confederates drive on. Meanwhile, the Confederates begin to reach other portions of the Union line, in some instances catching Union troops who are still in their tents or cooking breakfast. All across the field, Union regiments, upon meeting the enemy, break and in disorder flee towards the rear. Despite their success, the Confederate regiments get jumbled up and disorganized. Plus, some of the troops break off the attack to loot the Union camps. This all leads to an overall lack of pressure upon the fleeing Union troops, who take the opportunity to form new lines of defense. With reinvigorated pressure, the Confederates are able to continue to drive the Union right back. However, on the Union left, Benjamin Prentiss is able to pull together a defense along a sunken road. This position halts the Confederate advance in its tracks. Throughout the remainder of the morning, the Confederates, primarily under General Braxton Bragg, launch repeated piecemeal assaults on the Union position and get nowhere. The Union position soon becomes known by Confederates as the Hornets' Nest. All throughout the fight, General Johnston had been riding around the battlefield, making adjustments and encouraging the troops. Upon seeing what Bragg has run into, he brings up the Reserve Corps under Breckinridge and personally leads some of them in an attack. As he advances, a bullet enters his right leg and tears a major artery. Johnston, unable to feel the pain, slowly bleeds to death. He is the highest-ranking officer to be killed in action during the Civil War. The attack Johnston was leading was semi-successful, but failed to drive the Unions completely away. The Confederates continued to attack Prentiss, who was aided by divisions under Generals W.H.L. Wallace and Stephen Hurlbut. At around 3:30 p.m., the Confederates gather over 50 cannons and begin to bombard the sunken road. After the artillery barrage, reinvigorated Confederate attacks are able to drive Hurlbut and most of Wallace's divisions back. The rebel troops surround and eventually capture Prentiss with around 2,000 Union troops. However, Prentiss has held the Confederates at bay for more than 6 hours. This has allowed Grant to form a strong defensive position around Pittsburgh Landing, which the Confederates are unable to overrun. Around 6 p.m., General Beauregard, who is now in command since Johnston's death, orders all attacks called off, claiming that the day has been won. However, that night, amidst a pouring rain, General Buell arrives with the Army of the Ohio. This, along with another division under Grant, more than doubles the Union's strength. Despite the day's setbacks, Grant is not about to give up, and so he sets plans to attack the Confederates the next day.